Hello, hello, and welcome along to episode 36 of Zagravia. Today I have playing with me... won't start there. Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay. I'm playing Kai.
I have Michaela.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm playing Winona.
I have Jamel.
Hey guys, Jamel here, playing Galthek, and we're not playing Zagravia.
No, we're not. We're playing Soulforged, you're right. I have Alora.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm playing Karina.
And I have Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I will be playing Luca Wiggs and his dragon Vero.
Whose idiot idea was it to name two campaigns Surge? No. They don't need S-O's and G's in the same campaign. Confusing. When we last left off last episode, our party fought a mighty battle against the scion of the gods of the giants, the scion of Thrum. It was sort of scary, but you kind of did okay. It could have gone very, very wrong. However, a phenomenal disintegrate at the end, combined with a silly chronology magic wizard skill that I probably had never looked at, and will probably never forget. We managed to donk them, and that was great, and they won, and it was fabulous. But what we didn't do last week, apart from an orb which we gave to Karina, was hand out the loot. So that is where we will start, with the loot. You will find in here 78,000 gold pieces, split up into gold, silver, and copper pieces. 125,000 gold pieces in various gemstones, including 6 diamonds worth 10,000 gold pieces each. An alchemy jug, a bag of beans, 3 beads of force, a boots of levitation, 2 drift globes, a strange dragon statuette, a crystal ball, 2 blue sapphire elemental gems, a feathered token of tree, a gem of brightness, a mirror of the past, a periapter proof against poison, a restorative ointment, a siren song lyre, a ring of acid resistance, a ring of the ram, a spider staff, a wand of fear, a bag of holding containing linen and clothing for all sorts of occasions.
Wow.
And a strange, beautiful silver rod, and a helm that glitters with many, many, many gems.
Whoa.
You're able to identify everything else.
I'll be pasted because my
I will-
notes made
I
it
will
to
open up-
125k in gems, and then
I
gave up.
will ping you it when you have ID'd the 2 items that you couldn't previously ID'd. You do have the spell Identify though, right? Sorry, go on, Josh.
Could I take a look at the dragon statuette?
You leaned for it and it magically seems to springing to Karina's hands with her going, I need this and I want to prep a certain spell and I asked for it.
Those sneaky mage hands.
It is the only item that is not in the paste, but she said, if I want to cast a spell, I need this item. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. You have Identify, right? Winona, is it?
Yes, I
We
do.
each do.
Oh, you both do. Okay. You will identify the rod that looks a bit like this. Very strange and kind of boring item. Until you get a bit closer and you realize it's got 6 buttons on the side, each made of a different gem. When you press 1, suddenly a fiery blade sprouts from the end opposite the rod's phalanged head. If you press a different one, it will turn into a magical battle axe with a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls.
Wow.
Alternatively, you can have a +3 bonus spear. A climbing pole up to 50 feet long, as you specify, and serves as hard as granite. A spike at the bottom and 3 hooks at the top anchor the pole. How exciting. The pole can bear up to 4,000 pounds. Or you could have it be a handheld battering ram, giving +10 strength checks to break through doors and barricades. Alternatively, you can have it remain in its normal form and just point towards north. If you hit a creature with this, with a melee attack using this item, they must make a DC 17 Constitution saving throw or take 4d6 necrotic and you gain the healing. You can also paralyze people with a strength save and you can terrify them. Isn't that exciting? Welcome to a rod of lordly might. There's also a very, very exotic looking gemmed helmet. And when I say exotic, it looks like... That did work, right? It looks like that. It's covered in gems. Alora, can I have a 1d10, please? Michaela, can I have a 2d10? Jay, can I have a 3d10? And Josh, can I have a 4d10, please?
Did Leovold have one of these before?
No.
That's what I've seen.
No, you have seen it before.
You did. This item killed Sonia. It was the last
Oh,
magic
that's what it
item we
was.
got.
What?
I put it on and I died wearing this.
Oh,
That's what
that's
that
not. No,
was.
that's not what you're thinking of, though. In Treasure Rats, Rico had this. and used it all the time.
Okay, maybe.
Yes, it
that-
is.
Oh.
Okay. This dazzling helm is set with 7 diamonds. Who rolled the 2d10? Michaela, what did you get?
9.
9 rubies. 15 opals. No, 15 fire opals. And 25 opals.
Yeah, I rolled pretty well.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
You're welcome, whoever gets this helmet.
This is a Helm of Brilliance. Using a opal, you can cast Daylight. A fire opal, you can cast Fireball. A diamond, you can cast Prismatic Spray, which was 7 times. Or a Wall of Fire, you can cast 9 times with Ruby. So long as this helm has 1 diamond, it emits light in a 30-foot radius that deals damage to undead. If it has 1 ruby, you have fire resistance. If it has 1 fire opal, you can command a weapon to burst into flames, dealing big fire deeps. I feel like I left one of those out. No? Is it just 3? Okay, it doesn't care if it has at least 1 opal.
Nope.
No. If you are wearing the helm and you take fire damage as a result of failing a saving throw, the helm can just go boof and blow everyone up. Small price to pay. just thought I'd let you know. You do have to roll like a nat 1 on a d20 at the time, and you have to fail a saving throw on fire stuff. Cool. Yeah, there is the full shebang of loot. However, what I'm going to do is say, look at all this lovely shiny stuff. Deal with it after session. Apart from the rod of Lordly Might and the Helm of Brilliance, I would suggest you dole out the rest after session. Those two. I'll start off by saying, does anyone have an achievement? It's not like actually genuinely free right now.
Well, I was thinking about letting go of one thing.
Sure, but does anyone just happen to have one? No, the Dragon Statuette is not an achievement item. It is literally a spell component.
Yep.
That's it. Doesn't do anything.
Oh. Toss it back into the pile of coals.
Mage hand.
Oh, sneaky mage hands.
So yeah, there's a Rod of Lordly Might and Helm of Brilliance. Everything else you can put in the bag of holding. Even if you don't dole those out right now. Yeah, you find yourself sort of standing in this cave of wealth. Katrikan is sort of picking up the gold pieces and going, just imagine what this is going to do for rebuilding our venue after the raids.
Right. Yes.
Think of it. Those who've had their lives
What does
disrupted.
that mean?
Those who've had their lives disrupted by these
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
by these raids will now be able to wear. They can't eat gems. We will have to find somebody who has things we can purchase with these gems. Didn't we kill this guy? Why is he still alive? I don't know.
You've got a big body left over.
Yeah. But more importantly, behind him, you do see the path leading out the mountain.
Oh
Would it
my god.
horribly disrail the campaign if I said that I wanted this to be the start of my horde, and me and Vera would just stay here, accumulating
It would
wealth?
derail your experience in this campaign.
So long, Luke.
But at this point, you will realize that this is through. This is not over. You did go through the mountain.
Oh. Well.
You didn't ever
But
have to.
not
You could have gone
around.
over, but you didn't go
Thank
around, and
goodness.
that's important. That could have resulted in fire death. What could have been more dangerous than a dragon giant? A dragon giant? Yeah, sure. A giant god.
Nice.
That would be
Good
what's
going.
more dangerous. A dragon.
You're right. A dragon giant would have been far more terrifying.
Damn.
But yeah, as you step out into the icy cold, you find yourselves standing upon a precipice, staring out over a stunning vista of snow and ice. The storm that was constantly hammering at the mountain that you are in has dissipated, and you can see a way down on the other side, leading to what appears to be an area of grass. It seems that on the other side of this mountain, the weather does get more mild after a while. Side note, you are standing up here, sort of, well, I mean, you're actually standing, how do I point? Over there somewhere. And you're looking that way. The grass is down there. You are on the same
Did you say
sheet
the
as well.
grass?
Yes, grass. A vista of grass is beyond the sort of snow and ice and mist. As if the land gets more temperate once again. Katrigan specifically is shocked. She thought that the further north you went in the mountains, from the mountains, the icier and the colder it got.
What do mountain people know?
But alas, not. Indeed.
Is that road still here? That Blackstone
You
road
notice
that
the
we
Blackstone
crazy?
Road. Yes, sorry. See, I know what you mean. You notice the Blackstone Road sort of winds directly around the mountain that you walked on, and stops, falling down right here into the ground. Go ahead and give me an insight check with advantage, Winona, as you understand magical stuff and rocks.
I'm wondering if
I love rocks. 28.
Yeah, with that, you realise that what you were doing when you were on that road was following others' memories, right? But
Yep.
others' memories would have carried on wherever the road used to go. And this road ends in a cliff that drops miles and miles down. If you had have gone around like you were warned not to, you would have followed the road to its end, which doesn't exist anymore, and you would have walked yourself off a cliff. Which probably would have been fine, because you have like 6 million things to not worry
We'd have
about.
lots of fun
Kai,
stuff,
I
but
healed you.
would've
I
been
put you to 5
inconvenient.
hit points, I believe, on your character sheet. Unless you had it open earlier, you can control shift R. I healed you so that I could find out what your max HP was to update the GIF. You may all take a long rest. Even just picking up the treasure is going to take 8 hours. Take a long rest.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we get... Mechanically, if we level up, can we use an 8th level spell before the long rest? If I wanted to demi-plane all this loot.
What does that do?
You can make a demi-plane. And
Well, that's
you
just that.
shove it all inside.
I mean, that's absolutely no different to using the bag of holding that came with the loot, so sure.
True, although I'm not sure if that technically fits in a bag of holding with the amount.
Nah, you've got 2, right? You've got 2 bags of holding. I think we already had 1. But yeah, you can make your own demi-plane and lob a bunch of stuff in it. Why not? Put Luca in it. He's not got his headset on, so he won't know.
What's so funny?
I said, Alora's asking if she can make a demi-plane. I said, put Luca in it. He's got his headset off. He won't know. And you just put your headset
I'll
back on
become
to
the
silence.
bag man. Don't do it.
Ooh.
There's nothing. There's only
Origin
one thing
story.
worse than the bag man. The bag dragon.
Oh god, yeah.
Yes. Of course you can make a demi-plane before you take a long rest. Why the fuck not? How often am I going to get to say that sentence? Do you get to shape it? Do you get to, like, make it how you want it to be?
Pretty much. I mean, it's a limited size, but yeah.
It's just your very own rod of security? Oh, can you
Yeah.
can you enter it? Well, I suppose it would have been terrible to pour your loot into a place you can't get into. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so Karina creates a demi-plane and then takes 4 hours rest. The rest of you take 8 hours rest. No, Winona, you're not taking a
Nope.
rest?
Karina
you're
sleeps.
Yep,
Karina's
8
not right.
hours.
Karina's not an elf. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I thought you were saying that you don't sleep 8 hours. Yes, I see. Yes.
No, I slept for sure.
Karina, the mysterious Kalistari elf Asimov, will take a rest. I'll never get there, Laura. I'll never get there. They're all the same. They're all Kenna. And that's it. And do you know what? I told Josh not that long ago that Kenna was a fire genasi, and he just didn't believe me. Just didn't believe me. And he was 100% certain she was an elf or a human
her
or...
looking like one. I just don't remember it at all.
I thought she was a fire genasi. He was like, no, she wasn't. I was thinking, well, she was.
Oh my god.
Anyway, side notes aside, take a long rest. Obviously, do remember to actually click the long rest button even if you are full health, because it will reset any effects you had on you, such as 4th level aid. When you come out here, you will see the shambles of this black rock and grass a long, long way down ahead of you. This would pose a formidable obstacle if you couldn't do things like be clouds. or use teleport. So instead, I will bring you a ways down. And as you drop on down the mountain to where you... sort of to an area looking out over the grass, you see a sight that is unbelievable. Perhaps even impossible. You see dragons. And creatures that aren't quite dragons. Countless. They lie completely still. One particular catches your eye, a blue stag with raised antlers and broad wings. The mark of Valaris. Shaped into a mythical creature. A chimera and a manticore stand side by side as dragons that shine as bright as gold, as glittering silver and deep blue sapphire. Amethyst and ruby, and a sort of giant turtle that appears to have huge wings coming out of its in place of its front legs. Countless mythical creatures. Creatures that are impossible. So close together, so large.
I think...
Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, I think me and Vera would go down to one of these dragons.
As just give me one moment before you do. Karina, as you look down over this vista, you, however, somehow don't even, after a moment, don't even notice that, because you notice something different. In these trees and a copse over there, you remember what you saw in the scrying orb. In the scrying. And you see an area where perhaps you think Verity might have been when you were watching before. But now in that place is what appears to be a block of black stone. Partly carved. Milkari, you will note as you fly down here that your bow does not thrum. It does not vibrate with any instance of a dragon. Even when you approach, you get close and you're terrified at first of getting any closer as these creatures loom so large. Just to give you an idea of scaling, in this particular map, Vero is this big and Luca is this big. Just to give you an idea of scaling. We won't do that, but just to let you know, these dragons loom huge in comparison to gargantuan in comparison to Vero. Vero could sit on one of their backs.
Wait, so if my bow's not thrumming, does that mean they aren't dragons?
At first, you think that perhaps they're just sleeping, but they stay very still.
Oh,
no sign of a breath.
They're all dead.
The closer you get, the more you realize that they're not dead.
Oh.
They're not real. They're carvings. Perfect carvings. And yet, as you get close, you're sure you feel the swell of life nearby. Give me a charisma saving throw.
Oh, damn it.
As you move closer to this silver dragon, you can all move down, by the way. I'm sure you were clouds or something.
It's a
you may go wherever you wish.
Magical plant dragon.
No. It is most definitely not. If anything, you can give it to me with disadvantage. You like dragons. But an 11 is a fail. And you find you cannot resist the urge to reach up and touch this dragon.
Oh, I'd happily fail that.
Yeah, and as you put your hand on the dragon's neck, you feel a stirring within. Almost a pulling. Like a large breath taken nearby. But the creature is still. It doesn't feel as cold as you would have expected a stone or rock out here to be, and yet it is certainly not as warm as a living creature. As you all move amongst this incredible garden of carvings, and they are just those beautiful, perfect statues with colours that should be impossible, nestled within this grove.
I don't know if the dragon, if this really is just a statue, or if there is some life inside of it. And I don't actually really know if this spell would do anything. But I would like to try and cast freedom of movement on this statue.
You try, but it finds no target, no purchase. I believe it says freedom of movement targets a creature, you can see.
A willing creature.
This doesn't appear to be a target for your spell.
We'll
And-
put up detect magic.
You do detect magic. It ebbs and flows. At first it surges like the broadest magic there is, and yet it rings no sign of conjuration or illusion or any other form of magic school that you've ever learned. And then it dissipates and is almost completely gone, disappeared, no sign of life at all, and then surges back in, and you will experience this with every one of these statues. And yet you recognize this. It's exactly the same experience as when you got close to this road, to the Black Road. Exactly the same experience as that pillar that gave you the visions at the center of that crossroads. Exactly the same experience as that black stone with silver veining that held the memory that you got from the boat. And at this point you hear the tapping of a chisel against rock, perhaps? Or a hammer upon a piece of metal. It comes from the east. And as you turn your head, you see that Katrikan is already running across to the east. There you see a man knelt down next to a large block of stone, almost 3 times his height. And in the other half of this block of stone, you see half the carved wing of a dragon, its head partially formed. The man who is carving has silver hair pulled back long and a silver beard. His hands are liquid silver. He looks old and ragged. Katrikan, what's that? My prince! No response. Just keeps chiseling. He looks up briefly. I'm sorry, but I've got to continue this. And carries on. As you move close, you will see that indeed it is some twisted variant of Verity. Some old, ancient version of Verity with magic that you've never seen before, with silver upon his hands. Sadness in his eyes, but those eyes are still the same pale blue they used to be. And he looks up and notices you all, and looks over Katrikan's shoulder, ignoring her completely, and says, "Oh, you've come. Good."
We didn't
You
have
told
to.
us to.
Did I? Yes, I suppose I did. That was a while ago. I've put that into the dragon.
Excuse me.
Katrikan
Give
says,
me
"My
the
lord?
memory.
It's me, it's Katrikan." Ah. Katrikan, my wife. Much of what I knew and loved of her has gone into the dragon. Yes. Well, that's good that you've come. Though I fear I will not be able to complete the task. What he is saying or implying is that he's carved this dragon statue you see before you, but that's impossible. It would be the work of 5 lifetimes. It's huge. It's beyond anything, and all he has is a simple chisel and a hammer with silver on them, and what appears to be the hilt of a sword, though it has no blade, or perhaps just a nub of metal.
Are you putting your memories into these statues?
Yes, more than that. I'm putting me in. It is how the Solus were created, I believe. You've seen them, I'm sure, as you came over the Solus. But they don't move. I called, and I asked, and I begged. But however King Wisdom woke them once upon a time, I don't know. For I cannot. So, instead, I must become one, as the Farseers of old used to.
This is a lot.
Perhaps. But it seems to me it's the only way.
Only way for what?
For us to drive away the raiders, of course. Why else would I do this?
How does this drive away the raiders?
Well, it is not as much as a fleet of the Solus, but a dragon of this size. I could take the ships away. I could drive them back. I could raid their shows as I once used to. Ah, that anger, that's what I've been looking for. And with that, he puts it in his chisel and he runs his hand, shimmering, over the dragon. And you see it shine briefly in deep blue, like the buck blue you saw on that stag, as a whole sort of little slice of the dragon is revealed underneath. He has a small smile on his face and says, I believe its eyes will be silver. That would please me. Well, you've come, and so you must. I wonder if you might try and wake the Solus yourself. It's probably too late, and, well, the journey I've made has only one ending. But what else can we do but try?
What is your ending?
This. And he runs his hand over the dragon.
So, when you complete this, Verity will be gone?
No, Verity will be this, and this will be Verity. The Solus.
You'll be all of them?
All of them? No,
There's
just this
also-
one. He strokes the
Just
dragon
this
with his
one
half-formed.
statue.
With his half-formed, yes. He's putting himself in. I believe in times of old they were called coteries. Groups of skilled ones that served the Farseers would come after many years of service and put their combined life force into one of these. Shape it with their memories. They are the Solus, the Elderlings. They were just us, but more.
What about the other statues?
That is what he's saying. Those other statues,
No.
that's what he believes of them. I don't understand the confusion, Josh. What's the question?
It's fine.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So he's saying that groups of people who served the Farseers before, who had whatever ability it is that's on his hands, carved those statues you saw in this grove.
Oh.
so
I
each
thought he
group-
did all of them.
No, he's saying each group was one.
I see.
No, this is his one. And
The other statues aren't awake, are they?
they're neither awake nor asleep. They're waiting. But how to wake them, I don't know.
How do you know how to do what you're doing?
It was easy, really. First, the road began to tell me. Tales of the people who came before travelling this road. Of the coteries of skilled ones that served the Farseers that walked this road. They carved it, you know. Elderlings. Elderlings and the Solus are not the same. The Elderlings served the dragons. They carved the roads. The Solus, that is these statues. The end of an Elderling's life, perhaps, but not the same. There are others. There was a pillar. I travelled through it to a city called Kalsingra. A city lost to time. Made almost all of this black and silver stone quite special. It holds memories. They always said that the Farseers saw far, but perhaps for a while we have been short-sighted. We have lost track of our past. And forgotten what our future is meant to be. This is good. You bring emotions, and with emotions come memories and things that I can give to the dragon. I must continue carving. With that,
Is
he
how all
turns.
dragons were made?
No, imitations, I would assume.
How
Shapes
long
of the
do you have
imagination.
left?
How long will I live for? Or how long will it take me to carve this?
Aren't they both intertwined?
So I would hope. But I do not think there is sufficient left of me to give to the dragon. Unless... No. And then he sort of shakes his head and he begins to continue carving on the dragon.
Unless
No.
what?
Say it.
Doesn't respond. Patrican sort of goes round and goes to put her hands on him, to hug him, to hold him, and he sort of, no, you mustn't. Don't touch the silver. You'll take great harm from it. And he sort of very awkwardly leans up and with one side he just gives her a slight kiss on the side of the mouth and puts his head close to hers. I'm sorry, but you mustn't. Katrigan sort of backs off and bursts into tears. This can't be. I didn't come all this way for you to carry on someone's dragon carving. Carry on? Yes, you didn't do all this yourself, did you? And with that, she storms off into the forest, unslinging her bow. She goes.
Oh damn! I thought she was going to try and destroy the statue.
Verity's dog follows Leon. Follows
I thought he
Katrika.
was going to kill her.
Leon.
He looks up. And it's hard for her, I'm sure. You must comfort her. I'm sorry if I appear less, but much of what I feel, much of what I know is in the stone. It will be the dragon. It is not in me. I can remember little bits of what it was like to love, to hate, to feel, to the warmth of a cup in your hand. First kiss. The hunt. I remember little bits of them, but most of them is in the dragon now. My brother, chivalry. With that, you see he goes back to stroking the dragon and putting memories in, but he begins to talk to you as he does. Telling you about things he's put in and things he is putting in. You will notice as he does so, he sort of... There are moments where he flashes and looks older than he is.
He's kind of like Branda Broken.
Perhaps.
I think I'm gonna start walking toward where Katrikan went.
Mm-hmm. You find her striding purposefully in amongst the trees. She sees you approach and hears you approach, but doesn't say much. After a little while, she just murmurs, "Go on, Leon. See if you can chase one out. Just over there." Leon sort of runs into the bush, and a rabbit comes herring out, and she sort of shoots it. Walks purposely towards it, picks up the rabbit's body, attaches it to her belt, and looks to you, Karina, and... I thought it might be changed. I didn't expect to come so far to lose him. Ridiculous. Do you think he's gone mad?
Depends on your definition of madness, I suppose.
He thinks he did all that himself.
There's magic in work that I've never seen the likes of. I don't know if he did it all himself or if he had help. I don't know if we can help him.
Well, we can feed him. He looks like he hasn't had a hot meal in days. We can build up the campfire. He can sleep under a tent tonight. We can make him tea. We can tell him of our travels. She nods to herself and sort of... But one rabbit won't feed us all. If you don't mind. She walks on, and she hasn't told you not to be with her, but you get the impression that perhaps you'd rather be alone for a moment. Yes, hike, as Josh said.
Oh, actually, I said get the fuck off.
Yeah, I will not follow.
Okay. As Karina is following Katrika. Oh, sorry, go on, Luca. You can...
I was gonna ask Verity if anyone could do this.
No, I don't think so. You'd have to be able to travel to the Lake of Silver.
Where's the Lake of Silver?
In a memory. So to speak. It exists and does not. No, I would imagine you need to be one of the Farseer blood, or one of the skill bonds of old, or perhaps an Olding, I'm not sure. I don't know if I understand it all that much. But no, I wouldn't imagine that anyone would be able to. The soldiers will come again fairly soon. Perhaps with you here you could keep them at bay for me. I believe they belong to my brother.
Soldiers?
They'll come through the pillar over the mountain to the east. They come every 3 or
Wait
4
a
days.
minute. Wait a minute. They know you're here? How? Through the pillar?
It is my belief that our enemy, the Red Ship Raiders, knows far more about what we do than we do. What I do here than we do. It is also my belief that my brother betrayed us from the beginning. Much of what we had in the skill tower has been sold off for coin. And much of the knowledge, I'm sure, was in there of what happens here. If he trades with our enemies, perhaps that is how he knows. I imagine he covets this power like he covets the pony that we had before he did, Chivalry and I. Like he covets the crown like he covets anything and everything that Chivalry and myself ever had. Like he covets our camaraderie. He was a jealous child. I'll put that in the dragon. And he sort of runs his hand over it again. Perhaps you could serve me by driving off the soldiers. I have a feeling if I didn't kill them with this power, then I would be more capable of completing this dragon myself.
Sure. I can handle soldiers.
Sorry, what was that, McKenna?
Oh, I was saying, sure, we can handle some soldiers.
What did you ask, Luca?
Have you spoken to a jester?
No, the only fool around here is me.
But he's not really a jester.
Is that so? You're speaking riddles, Luca.
Someone help me out here. We never got their name.
The Fool.
Goldman.
Oh, sorry.
He also said you could call him Lord Golden.
Oh, Lord Golden.
The Fool. My
perhaps?
father's Fool?
Any of these? No, it doesn't
Yes,
matter.
yes.
Oh, then yes, that
Yes.
fool.
The pale child that his father had as a jester, he did tell you about that he did serve there for a while.
That fool.
I have not spoken to him since we were
Right.
both children. No. Why, do you think he's important?
Oh, yes.
He seems to have manipulated events.
Well, and so it is. We're just the pawns in someone else's game. Very well.
Why doesn't Regal, come here and do this himself, then?
He never had the
Shouldn't
sight.
Oh.
He coveted
So
that as
that's how
well.
it is.
He was jealous. He was sickly as a child. My father believed that that's why he didn't have it. But I believe the poison of his mother's blood runs through his veins.
Oh.
And I.
She was a cruel woman. And even if he did, he wouldn't be prepared to make the sacrifice. No, he would have others do it for him. The soldiers he sends, they have silver upon their hands. How he procured it, I don't know.
Oh.
Stopping them is likely what is going to prevent me from succeeding. And in that, I suppose, he has achieved his goal one way or another.
Are you willingly doing this?
What does that even mean? Do I have a choice? No. But I do it because I must, for my country, for my people. I'm not being coerced, if that is what you mean. No. That's them coming now. You should go.
The soldiers already.
Yeah, what made him react? Did we see anything?
You saw nothing and heard nothing.
No, goodness.
They are half a mile or so to the east. He gestures in the direction.
Did you see any of this in your visions?
In a manner of speaking. The problem with most of my visions is that you don't understand them until they come true, which makes them mostly useless. I thought I was seeing the black dragon at Carve. You remember this black dragon, Luca? You pulled a arrow from it.
I sure did.
And then I thought I was seeing your own dragon in a different form. Then I believed that the Elderlings, the Soulless themselves, were dragons, and I suppose in some way I was right. I saw myself carving, but I saw myself carving a future. I saw myself carving a crown. I saw myself raiding the red ships and their islands. I suppose one and all of those things could come true. But they wouldn't truly be as they are, would they? No. The visions are never clear. They never were. My father's talent was harder for him to bear, I imagine, but perhaps more useful. He saw what was happening, but afar. In his dreams, he watched every raid the red ships made, over and over again. And yet, I would have preferred that. At least he could make sense of his. Please, this requires a lot of concentration. If you could deal with the soldiers. I may heal in time, but I would rather not kill again so soon.
Alright.
Before we go deal with the soldiers, I'd like to head over to one of the dragon statues and give it a little bit of a quick examine of it before
Okay.
we take up arms.
What sort of thing are you looking for? What sort of thing are you trying to work out?
Sort of markings, inscriptions along
Nothing.
the sort of dragon of any kind,
Nope.
anything, or whether it's just a
They
little
look
bit of
they look
craftsmanship.
exactly like Vero, but in stone and bigger. They are perfect. They are no different to that silver dragon you took out from the ice. Fully preserved. Except that they're cold to the touch. Not as cold as you would expect stone to be, but cold. They are not a carving made of rock. These colours are perfect. Even to the point of the eyelashes upon the dragon's eyes. They are what they are. They are not a stone carving. Verity's carving remains black stone with silver veins, but the others are as if a dragon lay down and went to sleep and didn't wake up. Perfect and still.
That's... Well, there will be time to figure this out later, I guess. I shall have my orbit ready, and unless anyone objects to this, I'll reach in, take up the rod of might, and press a button upon it to shoot out the blaze.
What did you unattune to?
The flail.
Ah, clever. Okay. Yeah, as you guys head over to the east, Karina, you will hear the noise of the group coming towards you. Your group, not the soldiers.
Yeah, I did not follow Katrikan. I was.
No, that's what I
Back
meant as you
toward
came
group.
back, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong track, sorry. As you head about a quarter of a mile to the east, you see a large black pillar, about 7 foot tall. Emerging from it are 6 men. Their hands are silvered. Each one of them is somewhat armed, but with things like a wooden club. A simple hand crossbow. A dagger. They move unerringly towards Verity's position. But as one approaches, they wave their hand, and then each one of you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Wow.
As you hear a voice within your mind. Serve the true king.
That was so funny, James. You was describing the people coming, and you said they've got simple weapons like a club, and Michaela's face was like, "Is this even a challenge?"
Yeah, unimpressed.
Did anybody get below an 8?
Oh, no.
You'll keep moving, unbothered by it. And you realise that
14s.
they do pose absolutely no threat. And yet, what can you do with them?
They're heading towards Verity, though, right?
And you do see that they are standing upon bones. There are other skeletons here of these soldiers. Recent. Some as near as 2 weeks ago, some perhaps 2 years old.
Did you say recent skeleton?
Recent skeleton.
Skeletons. Yes, as if all the meat has been picked away from them. Tatters of their clothing still remain.
If only we had a necromancy wizard. Could make real good use of those.
You have been told as well by Verity that touching the silver upon their hands could be very, very dangerous for you.
Do these soldiers look? They don't look in control of their minds, right?
Oh yeah, they're looking in control of their minds.
Oh.
They're walking quite purposely towards where Verity is. One of them looks very confused at the back and isn't actually following the others. He's sort of wandering about a little bit.
Hey.
But the
Hello?
others...
I'll just... Any response?
No, he appears to be looking for something that isn't there. He's sort of wandering around and at one point even swings his weapon at thin air.
Oh, goodness.
What the hell is going on with him?
Looking to that pillar, it is made of the black stone with silver veining, much like the road. And much like some of you got lost along the road and some of you walked it with ease.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine traversing the pillar is much the same thing.
Yeah, they're probably deranged.
Or they're remembering something that happened long ago. Goddess, they will swing their weapons at you. And it is pretty simple for you to step out the way, bat their weapons away. These pose no threat to you, but if not stopped, they will eventually stab you.
Can we destroy the tower, the pillar?
You're not sure from here.
I'd like to try.
With what?
Try to fly over with I'd start off with a dragon breath, see what that does to it.
Absolutely no effect whatsoever.
Okay. Then I will... I can't believe I'm using it on this of all things. I'll use my unbreakable arrow to try and, well, I guess, crack the pillar or destroy it with like the impact.
I'll take it, draw it. You do hear a slight whisper as it goes. It whispers in Draconic. Where is mighty ones? And then it flies unerringly into the centre of the pillar where it sinks into the stone. The arrow flashes multiple colours and then it is almost like it's pushed out. And it returns to that plain grey colour that it was before the wood, the arrow falling next to the pillar. As you look at the pillar, however, the rune upon the pillar appears to have been absorbed, disappeared. As if you drained the magic out of it. That one rune, there are 4 faces on the pillar.
Oh my god. Okay, fine, I'll pick up the
you
unbreakable
did
arrow.
shoot at the one that you did shoot at the one they came out of, however.
Okay.
And when you pick it up, there's a surge in your mind, huge. The voices of a cacophony of 1,000 people speaking pleasantries as they travel. As you look to the pillar, slowly the rune begins to reappear. You can assume that your arrow couldn't hold the magic.
Yay. Is it still an unbreakable arrow?
Yes, it is returned to exactly how it was before.
Okay. So I just wasted it.
However,
then I
one of
guess
them
I've
does
got
casually stab at Vero's foot, It misses.
Wait, what is?
Wait, one of the soldiers.
Oh. It'll whack it with its tail.
The man's ribcage caves in. So bludgeoning. He's dead. You can't casually hit a commoner with a dragon.
It was
What
funny.
do the rest
You're
of you
like,
do?
he's dead. Michaela's like we don't
Yeah,
kill
yeah.
people.
That's exactly what we were aiming for. There are
I know,
five.
mission accomplished.
There are 5 of them left. Would you kill them?
Oh, I was ready to.
Is there,
I mean, they seem pretty consumed.
Yeah, and they
is
are.
there a bit of a choke point?
What?
I'm just
Is there
gonna.
a bit of a choke point there, or is it sort of? Is this
No,
a
so
very
you're just
open
out on a plane. Sorry, Karina, go on.
area? Right. Okay.
I'm gonna try to spell magic on one of them.
Okay, nothing seems to happen at all. They don't seem to be carrying any magic. The silver on their hands obviously does seem to be magical in some way, but it seems to be a natural, continuous, present magical effect, not something that can be dispelled. As if you cast Dispel Magic on yourself, for example, to try and get rid of your own magical powers. It's not a thing.
Well, if any advance close enough to me,
Ooh.
I'll just call out to them. You advance no further, and start knocking them to the ground with my shield.
They will
You
keep
know what I
going
do
up
want
and
to
keep
do on
attacking you.
them
Mm-hmm.
before they die? I would like to cast Detect Thoughts on one of them.
Yes.
See what's going through that.
Ooh.
Those
Okay.
little noggins.
When you
What are
do
they
so,
seeing?
they are hearing something you've heard before, but in a different form. It says, attack Prince Verity, attack Prince Verity, attack Prince Verity, attack Prince Verity. It's like it's burned on their mind, a little bit like, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me.
Hmm.
And you'll also note that they seem oddly devoid of other emotions. You've seen this before. When you fought people that didn't feel pain. The Raiders.
Oh my god. Wow. So, Regal has access to that same kind of tech to just make these, unerring soldiers.
Perhaps.
Yeah, okay.
Karina, as this is happening, you hear a voice quietly in your mind. I would speak with you in private, if you will. It is Verity.
In person or just
Yes.
here? I will slip away from the back line and go back.
Okay. Rest of you may or may not notice, but do you kill those that are attacking you?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karina, when you get back to the camp, Verity looks at you and appears a little more clear of thought than he was before. He actually takes his hands away from the dragon and he addresses you. Karina, I won't finish this unless I have more to give it. There is something you can give me, I believe. But I don't know how you feel about it. There was a time before when I was not covered in this silver, when I had the wherewithal to embrace my wife. If you would give me a night where I was as I was before, if you could reverse the hands on the clock, give me a night with her, to be a man once more, it might be enough.
I will try. I'm not sure if it will work.
I've seen it. In that future, it does happen.
I guess that's the paradox.
There are many possibilities in the future. this is a path I would choose.
It could hurt.
It will. And he gives you a small smile. And places his hands very carefully upon the ground to be out of your way. Sort of moves his head to the side to give you a space to put your hand on his shoulder should you need to. And it's almost as if it comes naturally to you if you commit to it, Karina.
Mm-hmm.
The words spill from your mouth, rushing. Words you've never spoken before and perhaps wouldn't have known what to say. Verity seems to grow younger before you. His eyes crystal clear. His hair once more brown. His hands clear of that strange silver. He sort of nods to you and thank you. I have but a day. And he
Your
rushes
mind
off.
feel-
Oh, go on.
Oh.
Go on, you first, before he rushes
He's
off.
gone. He left.
Okay. Yeah, he rushes off into the forest to where you know Katrina was.
Men think with one thing.
Not long later, the party returned. Apart from Luca. Luca, as you were walking back, you felt an urge to go elsewhere. A calling. A female voice calling in Draconic. Please, help me. Please, it hurts.
I would ride off Rivero, following the voice.
And you find a space in this plain, and you realise that there may be many, many more carvings that are hidden like this one in the copse of 2 trees. This carving is a dragon, but it stands out from the others in that there is a girl sat upon the dragon. And whilst the dragon itself is beautiful in colour and deep red, the girl is of black stone. Like Verity's dragon is now. As if the carving was incomplete. You will hear from Vero almost a guttural pain noise as he feels her pain. And you will see a single silver tear track down the face of Vero as he urges to move away from the girl on a dragon. But at this point you feel like you can't.
Well, yeah, I'll get off and tell him to go back, 20 feet or whatever he needs to.
He does.
I will approach.
As you do so, you feel a desperate urge to put your hand to the dragon. To the girl specifically.
Sure, I'll do that.
As you do so, you feel as if a hot, passionate kiss has burnt you and stolen something from you. A memory of your childhood. A memory of your father and yourself playing when you were young. It's gone. Snatched. You can remember echoes of it, but you don't remember how it felt. A sunny day where you enjoyed a picnic together. The moment that you hunted your first animal. A tune you heard in a tavern once. The memories are being snatched from you. You pull yourself away. It's painful. And you see a moment of shimmer, a colour. Shimmer over her body. You hear a quiet voice behind you. If you're going to give yourself away, you could at least give it to my dragon. Come away. You could give everything of yourself and it would never be enough. For the carver seek to hold herself separate from her group, from her coterie. Her pain is a testament, and a reminder to all of us that would carve a dragon, the sacrifice that must be made. Your memories will repair in time. Come. Verity sort
Why
of
did
looks
she
at
want
you.
to be separate?
When my carving is complete, I will become it. I will become a Solas. Completely. There will be nothing left of Verity. No body. No soul. Nothing. I will be as the dragon. If a group of people did this, perhaps she was the only one that didn't want that wasn't willing to make that sacrifice, so she seek to preserve herself in stone, to carry on being a girl, not a dragon. If you make the sacrifice, you must make it completely.
Well, can't she be saved?
I don't think so. And I don't think she should be. She's a reminder to all not to make the same mistake.
Well, was
Her
she
pain is a
fought-
memory of pain. She doesn't exist. I don't think. But I could be wrong.
Well, did she have a choice in doing this?
Yes. She would be nothing if she hadn't have committed, at least mostly, to the act. I believe that she might have misunderstood until the end, what it truly required, but... No, I imagine back then they understood far more, not less. Girl and the Dragon will remain just that, a memory of pain. But if you are so willing to give the memories of your childhood away... He sort of shrugs. I don't ask that of you, Luca. You've got a life left to live. But please, come away from the girl. Just a reminder, as you're seeing Verity, there is no silver on his hands, no silver in his eyes, and he looks young again.
I'm not asking Verity this, but would there be a way to reverse this so I could see her memory?
Not that you know of.
Could I try out of sheer will?
If you try and move closer to the girl again,
It would just be more sapped from me.
Verity will reach out his hand and... Please. I don't want to have to ask more forcefully. Don't do it. She will take everything you've got and more. And all you will do is cause her more torment and more pain. Please.
But you said that she doesn't exist.
No, but the creature that she is bound to does. And it feels her pain. Look,
Well,
he gestures towards Vero, who is sort of almost lying on the ground, neck flat, tears falling from his eyes, looking in pain. And he
I told
does...
him to move back.
He is back. And he speaks to you and... If you go, I go. Please. You get the impression that through you, bits of Vera might be snatched too. There is a magic you've heard of that Karina has perhaps mentioned in time that could potentially reverse this girl's situation or fix it. But as far as you know, it's just a myth. A spell that you make a wish and it just happens. But you're not sure it's real.
Yeah,
And you're not sure she's
no,
got access to 9th level spells.
No, absolutely not. The way
Not
she
yet.
studies, absolutely not.
Oh, she's too busy making a demi-plane.
I know,
Pathetic
but
magic in
what?
comparison, right?
What are these priorities? No, I mean seeing Vero like that, I'd very quickly step away, and help him up onto his feet and walk back.
As you walk away to Vero, Verity says, "You asked if anyone could. No. But one day, you could."
Yeah, I hate to be that guy, Verity, but you're not exactly selling me on the idea. You're gonna disappear. You've basically turned into who knows what at this point, and who knows how much left of you would be left in the dragon. And you're
Yes.
telling me that this chick is screaming out in agony for all eternity because it was too late for her. And are you telling me I can do it?
You might change your mind one day.
Did
Vera
you
will
not
say to you, I don't want to
half-
voice Vera, but Vera will say to you that perhaps at the end of your lives, being bound together in a dragon to live on for eternity would be cooler than just dying.
Didn't you not 30 minutes ago tell me that it was impossible
What?
for just anyone to do this?
He's saying anyone can't do it, but you can. Specifically, you can.
Oh, don't stroke his ego. He'll go off and do it right now.
No, well, what, Luca's?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, he's just telling you that perhaps you have a connection that would create that a possibility where others
Sure.
don't.
Yes. I will think on it.
Luke
Yeah.
goes ahead and does it right now, and this is how Luca dies.
Or
Let me just
Doesn't
roll out
die.
a backup character for the last couple of sessions.
But you hear Verity sort of Katrikan, and he makes his way further into the woods looking for her. You make your way back to the camp, I assume. Josh?
Yes. Yes. But walking though, not flying.
Yep.
I'm taking it easy on Imperial.
Cool. You pass these stunning statues, and you all come to the area near Verity's dragon. There is a very roughshod tent, ragged from wind and dust, and not much else. Signs of a campfire shows it hasn't been lit in at least a week. How he's surviving out here is anyone's guess. Is there anything that you would all do as a group? Does anybody want to go and try and wake the other dragons?
Well, sure. I have no idea how to attempt that.
Yeah, he never actually told us how to awaken.
He doesn't know. He couldn't
How
do
was
it.
he trying to do it? He was just tapping on them?
Perhaps using his silver hands and touching them, speaking to them.
Yeah.
So we got to chop off those soldiers' silver hands
Ooh. There's an
and then
idea.
touch the statues with those silver hands.
I don't hate that idea at all.
Okay, you chop off some silver hands.
Aside from touching the things ourselves, which sounds like a bad idea.
Well,
Don't
you've
worry,
touched the
I have my
dragons already.
hand.
You've touched the dragons already,
no, the
and you know
hands,
that.
still
Yes.
the hands.
But
Yes.
if you touch the dragons with the silver hands, nothing happens. Nothing at all.
Ah,
You can assume it's no different to when Verity tried to wake them with his silvered hands. No effect.
does detect thoughts work on the dragons?
You get echoes as if thoughts you can't read.
Hmm. Well, I'm out of ideas.
At this point, Galthak will just sit at the base of one of the dragons, pondering the orbs and pondering the dragons, and being incredibly stunned.
Yep. Kai?
I'm gonna ask my inner demon if he has any
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, what's he know?
Roll me a D100.
Oh boy. 3. Divine intervention.
Divine intervention!
Divine intervention.
We did it!
He sort of ponders for a moment, and I wouldn't know. But the creatures that many of these are based on, dragons, once existed. Potentially do still exist somewhere. Maybe there are some similarities. A thought.
Does it seem like this is some sort of petrification? Or is there any sort of magical reason for this to have happened?
Yeah, there's a magical reason. Somebody put all their memories into a piece of black stone and shaped it as a dragon. Weird choice, but Luca's considering it, so you know, it's become all the rage recently.
I mean, being with your best friend forever.
What could be better? Isn't there supposed to be a big ancient dragon up here? Also,
That's the dragon's head that you saw inside the cavern that the giant Scion slayed, whose treasure you've just walked off with in a demiplane.
copy. All right.
Yes, or Ronfator, I think his name was.
Oh dear, that's no good.
Yes. Ironically called the Great White Death. That wasn't his name, was it? It was Orm Stranganth. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's the one. I love a dragon name. They're all so weird.
Yeah, they are.
It's in her book. Where's her book? Let's open up that book because it could be useful for you guys as well. No, that is The Life and Crimes of Angel. We're not looking for that.
Huh?
I was finding the wrong thing. I went for a journal, but the journal I found was of Alora's mother. Or Karina's mother. Not Alora's mother, that'd be really weird.
Wow.
Yes, Zergum Stranganth.
Oh yeah. Nah, I'm just gonna try to put together a decent camp from the no supplies that we have.
Well, you did pick up clothing for all occasions in a bag of holding. You can
That's
sort of
true.
turn that into quite a glorious tent.
Yes.
In amongst,
Tent
good
and ball
idea.
gowns, I
Things-
like it.
not only that, but I'm sure Karina could summon a magnificent place to
Magnificent mansion.
place to be. I
Probably.
don't know. She seems to have got all these new cool things.
That is the thing I can do now.
It is. So, making a tent out of used wedding dresses is probably a little paltry in comparison to that. I just like the way that, is that Sunny who just looks disappointed with you? Or is it
It's
Ginger?
Ginger.
Oh, okay. I can't really
Yeah,
see.
she's not
just
impressed.
side on. No, she's not, is she, at all? She's
You
just staring at the table.
literally,
Where's
what are you doing?
dinner?
Nothing's here.
Yeah. Karina, are you doing anything, however, before you summon a magnificent mansion out of thin air? Are you doing anything to commune with these dracoons?
Not really anything that comes to mind.
Then camp is laid out. You have plenty of time to consider. Verity and Katrikan will spend the night doing whatever they do. Extra special rumpy pumpy.
That's
That's
sweet.
disgusting.
He'll return with inspiration and silver hands.
She'll return with an STD.
No,
Bun in the oven.
Silver train.
that one seems a bit more likely.
What, the silver
Yes.
STD?
No, the bun in the oven.
Oh my fucking god.
How else is Prince Dutiful going to get born?
I was wondering.
Well then. Yeah! I'm giving you right now, Verity foresaw that he would have a son, and indeed, in the following morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, Verity's chiselling. Katrikan has taken up a broom and sweeps the area around the dragon of the chiselled parts and empty, broken tools that you can see now that there were countless chisels and tools. If asked, Verity will tell you he got them from the city Kelsingra that he travelled to through that pillar.
Oh. So he went
But
through
they've
the
been
pillar,
warned to
huh?
nothing. He did go through the pillar with the silver upon his hands. Though he believes that you would also be able to do it quite easily by just touching the magic.
Wow.
Unless you have any discussion with him, he will continue carving from 5 a.m. till midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, when Katrikan will try and coerce him to come away from his carving briefly to eat something and to sleep. Throughout the day... Sorry, go on.
I guess I would try speaking to these mythological statues. I guess saying to them that it's almost time to fight back against the raiders, or to reclaim the land, or I don't know, something heroic.
When you speak to them, I'm assuming you're also probably speaking in Draconic as well, right?
Yeah, I'd be saying it in both.
Okay.
And Elvish, and Giant, and Goblin, and Sylvan.
Yeah, you do find momentarily, as you say, it is time. There is a swell of energy near you. And you do hear a large, roaring voice in your mind saying, "Time to hunt!" And then the feeling of life force is gone, and no matter what you say in response, you hear nothing.
I don't really know what to say, because I don't know who he wants to hunt.
At the time that he said time to hunt, your bow did momentarily vibrate ever so slightly.
Yeah, but they're not real dragons. That's not a real turtle.
Dragon
I like
turtle.
turtles.
It's a dragon turtle.
A dragon turtle.
Dragon turtle, relevant.
That's not a real chimera.
No, they're not. And yet, it did surge for one brief moment.
Well, what does the bow know?
What's the
no, but I
magic
would-
bonus of dragons, though?
I would continue even after that surge of life and energy. I would still continue to say to them that it's time. It's getting time to fight back.
Yeah, and you do get that surge a few times. During the day, Verity asks each of you to tell of your travels, of what happened at home since he left, of his brother, of the ascent to the throne, of Chivalry's death, of all sorts, really. And you see him sort of respond briefly emotionally to these things, and then put that emotion in the dragon. And indeed, his dragon begins to form again, more and more. You can see that it is going to be large, just like these. It is going to be sort of sat with its wings folded back, with its head rested upon its forelegs. You see him reveal small parts of it over and over again. But at the end of the day, after he rests and gets back up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you can't help but feel that you came all this way for this. To watch him chisel away at a piece of black stone and get weaker. Kind of seems a bit pathetic. A bit unexpected. You can't help but feel slightly useless. And yet, the one person who should feel saddest of all seems optimistic, bright. Katrikin is a joy in the camp. She goes out and hunts with her bow every day and brings back animals to eat. She sweeps endlessly around the dragon, making it completely clear and clean. She attempts to repair tools.
Well, of course she's happy. She's just been shagged.
Well, sure, but she's also discovered that her husband is going to cease to exist. But she appears relentlessly optimistic. Those of you with a passive insight of 17 or above will definitely know that this is sort of a little bit of a facade. She's definitely choosing to be optimistic, choosing to put a face on. But it's, she remarks to Karina very quietly at one point, "If he's gone mad, then I'd rather jump with him than let him go away in silence." She has decided to just embrace the madness, so to speak. At that point, Kai, you would hear in your mind, "Well, that's the most nonsensical thing I've ever heard." Lark seems highly unimpressed with the idea of embracing insanity.
I can't refute that either.
No, but as the relentless tap of the chisel begins to drive you nuts, as the days go by, as you watch Verity carve his dragon, we will take a short break. Hello and welcome back to the second half of episode 36 of Soulforged. As you begin to go slowly insane, Verity hammering away, chiseling on his dragon. 5 days. You sit by him, telling him of your travels and of everything that's happened. And he does nothing but carve at the dragon mindlessly. Doesn't turn away from it. Uninterested in food, uninterested in anything other than the dragon. For the few moments at night where he's dragged away to a tent, like a Trican to rest, or a room in a magnificent mansion. What did happen with that, Karina?
I guess
just-
I made a mansion.
You just click your fingers and it exists, or is it like an extra dimensional space, or...
It is an extra dimensional space. There is a
Oh, okay.
portal that'll open.
Yeah, they go through their portal and have like 3 hours kip in their extra dimensional mansion. And then, you know, Verity's already busting out the front gate at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting back to his dragon. He treats Katrikan like a good servant, a useful friend. He explains again and again to her that he can't feel the emotions he knows he should. He can't display love or hurt or pain or suffering or anger. He's muted.
Did Winona just punch someone?
I don't think so.
What?
That unarmed strike? She
No
knocking
one felt
people
it.
out left, right, and center.
It was
Trying
0
to punch
damage.
a dragon statue or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to punch the dragon statue. Any reaction?
No.
I did 0 damage.
You did. You did indeed do 0 damage.
Oh.
Karina, the broom that she was using was brought from Kelsingra. It was just lying down by the dragon. She didn't bring it all the way with her.
Here we thought he was gonna like die every second. He's got all the time in the world.
Yeah, does he ever eat?
When forced. He will tell you that, you know, he was renewing himself with the silver magic and occasionally eating what he could find. Whether that's, you know...
Renewing himself.
Well, if you remember when you stepped upon the road, you were able to rejuvenate, or you saw someone rejuvenate themselves. Well, moving, you saw Verity rejuvenate himself from the stone. After 5 days of this absolute madness, you hear a sound wake you from your sort of stupor of just being bored, and this annoying tap tap, the scuffling of boots upon rock. A few of them, definitely. And do you remember that cliff edge that you floated down as clouds?
Yeah.
You see soldiers rappelling down. Multiple soldiers, perhaps 40 or 50.
Whoa.
Bear in mind that this cliff is sort of across all this land. You're over there somewhere about half a mile, quarter of a mile. So it's quite a way away. But you can conclude that they've come to attack pretty easily.
But they were not coming through the,
These ones did not come through the portal. No, they didn't.
yeah, the portal.
They may have come from a different portal. Perhaps the one you saw
Yeah, there was
earlier on
another
the
one.
crossroads. But you don't see silver on their hands. Instead, you see them well armed.
Oh.
And at the edge, they sort of fire a wave of arrows. Yet still, these are common fighters. Raiders, soldiers. These would pose no trouble for you to wipe out. Even with all 70 of them. As they make their way past the dragon statues, they don't stop to stare, they don't stop in amazement. Either they were expecting what they're seeing, or something's been changed about them. They make their way, their eyes appearing slightly dead, through part of the field, and a wave of arrows will come at you all, dealing sort of 3 to 5 piercing damage to each one of you. You can each mark 4 health off of your character sheet if it matters, but the point is they do hit you, they do pierce your skin. Verity nonchalantly waves one out of the air with his silvered hand, but they've come to fight, and they will fight you.
My goodness.
I'm realizing that you probably have no choice other than to fight back. Is there anything specific that any of you would do?
Just lots of dragon breaths.
I would like to detect thoughts again and see if they have the same kill Verity, just single-mindedness.
They do. They appear muted. Perhaps a little incapable of pain or fear, or even love or hatred. And again, kill Verity. Kill Verity. Kill Verity. Verity the Pretender, some of them here. Strange name. Given, you know, his crown has been usurped by some other asshole. But as they make their way through, would you attack, all of you?
Absolutely would I.
And Luca, at one particular moment, an arrow of yours takes a man through the shoulder, and he stumbles back, bleeding, against a silver dragon. You hear in your mind a roar in Draconic. It's time to hunt!
I will yell out, both me and Vero in unison will yell out in Draconic that it's time.
And as you do so, this single silver dragon bucks its wings outwards, and with a roar that temporarily stops any of you from thinking or feeling at all, that absolutely wipes any current thought from your mind, it flaps into the sky. To where do we hunt? And they sweep down, grabbing 3 soldiers in their claws, lifting them up to the sky and dropping them before swooping down. And calling to Vero in Draconic, "My brother, we hunger!" You have
Yeah, I was
unlocked
hoping
the
this was
secret
over.
of waking them up.
I was hoping that was a rhetorical question, because if I had to answer, I'm like, here, the Raider Isles, I don't know.
A Raider Isle.
Well,
That's what I was gonna say.
you need blood and to call to them, but when Winona calls them in Draconic, they do not waken, they do not stir at all.
Oh, Renona is no
Racist.
true dragon.
Nor when
dragons.
Vero calls.
Oh,
Only when
It's
Luca
me.
calls.
the hero.
You're the problem.
It's me. Hi.
Very quietly, but loudly enough for a couple of you to hear, Verity says, "Witted?"
Oh my god.
Excuse me?
Dun 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 dun.
What?
It won't take you long to realize, Luca, that you can wake these dragons with blood and calling to them yourself. But someone's got to lead them. Where are they going to be led? Watching these rise into the sky, Verity is sort of desperately waving his hands over his dragon. But he's not going to be ready anywhere near in time. Silly man. Would Luca and Vero lead them to the Raider Isles? To the ships that harass the shores of Arvenia?
Oh, you.
Or do you just want to point them?
absolutely-
That way.
You absolutely know that the hero of this tale will be leading the dragons to the enemy.
Well, Verity might have to catch up, but for now, you know,
Well,
it can be you. As you begin to wake these dragons, the men, those who aren't killed, as the dragons fly over them, seem to lose all sense of where they are and what they're doing. Seem to lose all sense of what was happening. And in fact, at one point, Winona, a dragon flies over you and you feel memories pulled away. You can't remember what you're doing. You can't remember why you were fighting. You can't remember what you were thinking. Almost like the stone of these dragons is still soaking memories while the dragons fly. Vero and Luca, as you begin to lead these dragons after wiping away the soldiers that are on the ground, the rest of you convene around Verity, who is turning to Katrikan and speaking goodbyes. But we're not going to follow that tale. We're going to follow Luca and Vero. As you fly out across the land of Arvenia, leading behind you a flock of mighty creatures, not just dragons. Indeed, it was the third or fourth one that you woke, a blue stag, if you remember, with huge wings, the mark itself of Valaris. You hear King Wisdom's voice, who came so many, many years ago, and did exactly as Verity did, and carved himself a dragon, and led them once before. Call out that... Yes, go on.
Can the turtle fly?
Yeah,
Is the
it has.
flying?
I did say it has wings instead of front legs. Huge wings.
Sorry, my bad.
That's okay. Every one of these creatures rises into the air. King Wisdom saying that Valaris will be saved once again. Arvenia will be saved once again. It'll rise up against the raiders and will put them back where they belong. Other voices call out in Draconic, so ancient that you don't barely recognize it. Indeed, it's sort of the mother of mother tongues of Vero. Some of these creatures appear to be thousands of years old. But they all rise into the sky, one after another behind you, being led to the hunt by the promise of blood and of revenge and of victory. Vero is in his element. He's completely overexcited about it, calling out, follow me, I will lead you. Occasionally calling himself their master, which they don't seem that annoyed by. Even though he is but a
He is
quarter
the
of
one
their
true
size.
dragon.
Or something like that.
Sure. He's just about as much of a dragon as they are.
Exactly. Exactly. And as Vero and Luca fly off into the distance, we will pick up with the rest of you. I'm really sorry, Josh, but that is as much of the session as you'll partake in, though please do listen on.
Yeah, but
Wow. Wow.
that's
Fix the
fine.
camera.
I mean, I obviously, I don't think Luca would have had time to think to say goodbye to you guys.
Oh, that was like a casual wave and see the fuck later, right?
Yeah, I don't think. I think maybe like in his head, he's like, "Oh, I'll see them soon," but maybe a little bit is. He doesn't know if that's true, that he'll see them again.
Well, you do know that Kai
it's-
has a strange stick that keeps teleporting everybody to one place to another. It's quite useful.
Yeah,
If anything, he might beat you there.
Sure, so he kind of pushes those, but he at least like waves.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have that little bit in him that's like, this might be the end.
And Verity turns to Katrika and says much the same. This is both the end and the beginning. This is where I leave you, but you'll remember me forever, right? In this moment. Because I've seen it. Within you carry our son. And you must raise him as the king of Arvenia. My heir. My lady. Before I leave you for good, we will ride together. But for now I must go. He turns to you all, and I but wish that Luca had discovered that 2 years ago. I didn't have to do this, but once the process is started, it must be finished. He runs his hand over the dragon's head, and the eyes turn a glistening silver. Silver, as I thought. The black stone begins to ripple with waves of deep blue sapphire. He turns once to Katrikan and kisses her, raises his hand in farewell, and steps forward into the dragon, his entire body disappearing. The rippling of colour stops, and the blue fills through the dragon. The wings stretch outwards as the dragon rises And with a roar, for Arvenia, we fly. And he leans down, puts one wing to the side. Who is this person talking? Really? Shut up. He puts one wing down to the side and gestures for Katrikan to step up on his back. She will ride with him. Her eyes are covered in tears. She looks to the party and says, "You really should have brought Starling. How on earth is we going to get this written down?"
Got it all right here.
She's meant to let Starling get on board, but well, she's not here, so screw that bitch.
Where's that romance?
So instead, he rises into the air with just Katrikan on his back. And yet, somehow the tale will still reach you in times in the future of them riding to the castle of Valaris, overtaking an entire flock of dragons on their way, stopping long enough to let Katrikan get down, where Lady Patience will hand the rule of Valaris back to Katrikan. Regal having moved inland to Tradeford. And the princess, who doesn't exist,
She's one of the
ruling
dragons
as the king from Tradeford, but having abandoned Valaris, much of the coast overridden by raiders, lost to the red ships. As Verity rises into the sky and leads Vero and Luca and the many dragons that were raised behind them along the coast to hunt, tearing ships from the sea, tearing soldiers from the land. The glory of those days is told many times, but every time you hear the story in future, it always ends with Verity and Katrikan returning together to Valaris. Verity bidding his wife farewell before saying that he must reside in the halls of the Solas as a price for their aid. And yet, no two stories are the same. At no point does it make sense. At no point does it all tie together. Everyone's story is different. But Winona, you'll not forget that as that dragon flew over your head, your memories were snatched, and you could only recall a vague sense of what was happening at the time. Perhaps this has happened to everyone the dragons passed over. Dragons, after ridding the shores of the red ship raiders, begin to fly out over the sea, raiding the isles, the raider isles once again. Luca, you will be the first person from Arvenia in well over 6 centuries to have seen the shores of the raider isles. They're barren and rocky. Icy, there's little ground to grow anything. Their life is a hard life. You will note as you fly above them that the people there do not seem happy. They do not seem rich. They do not seem to be benefiting from the raids of their ships. In fact, many of them seem walking about muted, as if missing parts of themselves. Not fully forged, but something in between. Much like some of the soldiers you faced of your own people, and some of the soldiers you faced abroad. For the rest of you, you're left staring at a plinth where once a dragon sat. Small pieces of black stone with silver veining shards remain on the ground. You did what you came to do. Not the ending you were expecting, I'm sure, but an ending. With the powers of Karina's scrying, of other ways of seeing from afar and communicating across distances, you will be able to witness the flight of the dragons upon the shores of Arvenia, but not partake in it. Would you teleport to Valaris? The Mountain Kingdom? Probably Jahamp and pick up Kepit first, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the nephew of the king. Sort of. The king's
Yeah,
a
what did
dragon
he
now,
think
so...
of the dragons?
Yeah, when you arrive, he's telling you all about them. Oh my god, you missed it! There's the dragons of all sorts of colours, multiple strange creatures. One of them had a king and a queen riding upon it. One was a dog with wings. One was a really big bird. They're amazing, so many colours. They've gone to save us. Will they bring back Mum and Dad? Unlikely. Should you teleport back to Valaris? After that?
Yeah.
On the third day after arriving back at Valaris, Regal arrives at the gate. He is walking. He has no crown on his head, no rich robe at his shoulders, and no men behind him. He makes his way to the throne room before Katrikan. You're all sat to the side where she's asked you to be at the time, apart from Luca, who is still guzzling raiders. He kneels before Katrikan, almost like a slave. He puts his face flat to the ground, his hands in front of him. My queen, I beg forgiveness for all that I have done. And then he pulls a crown out and he places it out in front. But it won't take much for each one of you to realize that he is under the power of a severe coercion. Karina, you receive a small message from a voice you recognize. The image of a red-headed man with an eye patch comes to mind briefly. A gift, if you will. Is what he says to you, by the way. Sorry, that sounded a bit strange. Regal sort of...
So confused.
He's had sort of burned into his mind a desperate loyalty to the Queen and her unborn child. But only 3 days after declaring his loyalty, he is found in bed, his throat bitten by a ferret. Strange. That
These
is...
murderous stewards shape-shifting into murderous ferrets.
Or perhaps murderous witted with their ferret
Oh yeah,
companions.
that's probably
Little
more
closer.
likely.
Little closer. It is said that for a long time afterwards, Riddle was never seen without his pet ferret. Make of that what you will. But that is where this part of our tale ends. With Queen Katrikan and her son, Dutiful, slowly being born and growing. Luca returns from raiding the Red Ship raiders on Vero. The other dragons return back to their grove, far across the Mountain Kingdom. Saved Arvenia. But, kind of lost Verity along the way. Yeah, oh well.
Wasn't there another heir to the throne?
Oh, no, she died. Fell off a tower.
No, the other boy.
Cap it.
You mean Karina's boy? Chivalry's
Yeah.
son? He's a bastard. He can't inherit.
Oh, I see. Then why are we protecting him so much?
Because he
Wow.
called.
Whoa. Whoa.
Why not just throw him in an orphanage?
Yes, why
Let him
not?
be Annie. Why are we protecting him?
Goodness sake, Laura, why are you adopted this
He
time?
is Annie, and Laura is Daddy Big Bucks or whatever his name is.
Daddy Warbucks, thank you very much.
What I'm going to do is we're going to stop there and we're going to reflect on some moments. We're going to do briefly an MVP for today's session. Then I'm going to ask you for any highlights, memories, things you enjoyed throughout this part of the campaign. This was book 1 to 3 of the Farseer books. Next week, or perhaps even... Well, we've still got an hour. Yeah, after we've done that, I will very briefly, I promise it'll be brief, sort of 10 minutes, tell you the story of books 4, 5, and 6. And then we will have a session next week, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it.
Oh my gosh, what does that mean?
You'll still be playing the same characters, I can tell you that.
Did we level up?
You will be level 17 next week, yes.
Okay.
So you spent a whole hour at level 16. Rats. But first of all, we'll come to MVPs of the session. I think I'm going to go first, because I enjoyed a couple of moments a lot. First of all, Luca shooting the arrow, the unbreakable arrow at the pillar. I don't know if everybody's made the connections. The unbreakable arrow was pulled from the black stone with silver veining dragon at Carve. I'm actually going to put us on the world map just in case any places I mention are relevant. So at Carve, on sort of like session 6 of the main campaign, Luca climbed the dragon and pulled the arrow. The arrow was made of wizard wood. The only other thing you know about wizard wood is that Karina's mum had a strange naval charm made of wizard wood that kept her from getting pregnant or any STIs. Strange. It's sometimes called the dragon wood, but you don't know why. It is a strange grey wood. Yeah, make of that what you will. So I really enjoyed that, you shooting the arrow. I really enjoyed, even though nothing much was said, I quite enjoyed the fact that Karina went alone after Katrikan. I liked that. And I liked Jamal's, I'd like to study this dragon for any inscriptions or runes. There are none. Galthak just sits. That was really brilliant. I love that. But yeah, MVPs. I will start where I finish. Josh, I'm going to come to you first. This is for today's session.
Yes. So for today's session, the ending was quite sad. Like it coming to a quote-unquote end, was quite sad. Like a good sad, obviously. And I guess my MVP is the moment where we awoke all the statues. It was very, very cool, very, very epic. It's a bit of a selfish MVP.
No, not at all. Well, it had to be someone, right? One of you had to be Fitz. One of you had to be the main character from the book at the time. It sure as hell made more sense for you to be witted than anyone else.
Witted to all these dragons?
No, just witted to Vero. If you're going to put it that way, yeah. Well, sort of. I had to sort of stretch, all right? Like, you're not the book character, right? I want you to make your own character, but I had to make connections. Alora, your MVP for today's session.
Definitely the visuals of Luca calling to the dragons and like the swell of magic and with the response, and then eventually all of them rising up at the end.
Can't take any credit. Stolen from a book. Yeah, I love that visual myself. Jamal.
For me, it's got to be. That's where the session ends for you. Okay, bye. Disconnect from the call.
Yes, that was good as well. I forgot about that.
I have a Grey's Anatomy episode to watch.
Michaela.
Yeah, everyone pretty much said it, but yeah, the moment when the dragons come to life from the blood getting spilled, and when Luca being witted, I was like, oh wow, what a shock. So yeah, that was a really cool, epic moment.
Jay.
I guess kind of small when the soldiers first came and Vero smacked one with his tail, caved in its rib cage and everything, and you're like, he's dead. And Michaela just going,
that's what we wanted. Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
That was good. I enjoyed that too. I'm going to pick a different order, but I just want to know if there's anything from the campaign as it's been that has particularly stood out to you, anything you particularly enjoyed about the story, or, just moments between characters, that sort of stuff. This time I'll start with Laura.
Oh boy. I mean, the whole campaign's been really fun. I really enjoyed the relationship between Karina and Kepit.
Mm-hmm.
I throughout the whole thing.
That has been one of my
I
weirder
enjoy-
experiences as DM, if I'm honest.
No, I get that.
I've not been anyone's child before. That's been very strange. But I have enjoyed it from a sort of from a distance as well.
I also like just going back through my notes and just using Control Left for MVP and just the most random things. Going back to the very beginning, I have, do the orphans have pins?
Wow, that is so vaguely familiar in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
Just like moments, are you actually this cat?
All cats
little
talk, did you
sprinklings
know?
of moments.
Yeah.
Wait, we haven't had any talking cats in Soulforged. Of course we have. Of course
No, we have.
We've had witted cats.
All the cats in Soulforged have talked.
It's true. They have
Yeah,
all
pretty
talked.
much.
All two of them. Yes.
Every single one I have interacted with has talked to me.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, speaking of that, cat canon. Sorry, Laura, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Was
I'm
there anything
good.
else? Okay, cool. Jay, any moments stood out for you?
Gosh. I mean, the cat thing is always going to stick out to me. I'm never going to forget.
Yep.
To this day, Kai still believes that that's the normal for cats.
Yep. That's absolutely fair. What else did you enjoy? All that stood out?
Man, I honestly loved like all that time that we spent on boat and the RP, especially then when we were just sort of sailing around and we had all of these. There were a lot of one-on-one interactions during that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed that time. It was very difficult as a DM to know how to keep things interesting, but also it was very gratifying as watching you guys just enjoying the roleplay. And you got a water elemental. Something, right?
That is true. I am always grateful for whenever I am humored and get a pet that's like, why are you allowed to have this?
Why not? And I think it's been nice because they've not really, emotions not really had like much impact, right, or effect, but still been something to think about and to be present, and will likely have an impact in the last section. But that aside,
I loved getting them to the adult stage, and then we were in the cold mountains for so long.
Yeah, you know. But I mean, I think that's kind of okay, right? You know, it's just it's part ice, water elemental. Now it wasn't when you entered. It's just like you entered with the perfect glass of water, and now you got the perfect glass of water with some ice cubes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, awesome.
Jamal.
So there's a few things that I really thought were quite interesting and awesome. We had the overarching stories of the giants.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I don't know, it's been like the last 5-6 sessions or so.
I'll take that as a huge compliment because it's the only part that's not anything to do with the book. So obviously the thing in the book, all the problems they encounter in the mountains are like difficult terrain, impassable scree, strange memories, struggling for food, all the things that just can't affect a level 15 D&D character, right? So instead, the giants had to be something I created to be a problem. So I'm really glad you enjoyed that, because that came from me.
The giants were definitely an interesting departure from the rest of what we saw. But
do you know why they were
earlier
giants? Because I
Why?
was trying to buy a book, a D&D book, Mordenkainen's, I don't know, something. I accidentally bought Big B's Book of Giants. So I was like, fuck it, I'm using it all. So I grabbed all their lore and lobbed it in Soulforged.
And going back to earlier parts, where we actually started to see the activities of the raiders. We started to see what the raiders were doing, and got some glimpses of not the raider isles themselves, but the islands dotted around. The areas that were especially, the most affected and most at risk. That was a really enjoyable segment. I thought that was really fascinating to see what the hell was going on with it, and really started to set the story of what the consequences were to the raiders coming and just messing everything up for literally everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was definitely an interesting part of the campaign. Josh.
So, first of all, it feels like this campaign has gone by so quickly.
It's been
Like, so
40, 42 episodes so far. It's been almost
Yeah.
a year. It hasn't
It's a
felt
lot,
like it at all,
yeah.
has it?
No.
No.
It's zipped.
Yeah. So a small little thing. So this was my first time playing a ranger, which
Can you
think
hold
I've
that thought?
forgotten.
Because it's going to be the answer to my next question.
Okay.
Talk about the campaign as a whole, not about your character.
Okay. Then just the campaign, like.
I
just
promise
little
I'll start with you.
moments okay. Just little moments that that were really cool, like when we were sneaking around Regal's mystery house.
Mhm.
You know, finding
Yeah.
like all the secrets and Winona sneaking around the castle trying to find more royal gossip. And you know, then us discovering that there's actually secret entrances and tunnels in the castle.
Winona's livid.
Yeah, just amazing, and the constant bullying of poor Princess Grace. Luca will marry her and give her the family she deserves.
Oh my god, can you imagine? That'd be that's
Canon.
my
Can you imagine the children?
I know.
Yes.
That's furry from the neck down.
No.
All born with weird orange beards.
No.
Lucas a
but yeah,
fox!
but even no, because they would either be one or the other. That's how.
Oh, is that how that works? Oh, okay.
In D&D, yeah.
Like half elves.
Because what happens if you
and
have an
half orcs.
orc and a Harangon? What then? You just have a
Nothing.
furry
Nothing.
green
You have a
thing.
squashed rabbit.
Oh god.
Anyway.
Sorry, carry
But
on.
like even going back to like the like episode.
Yes,
of
the pre-campaign, the
campaign.
creation, the accidental existence of Princess Grace. Go on.
Yeah, it was just
That's so funny.
yeah with those bold monks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
Good. Michaela.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I liked about this campaign. Josh already said one. I love the royal drama with all the family. Oh my god, every time there was a betrayal.
I tell you what, it seems a lot more dramatic when you fast forward it, as opposed to 6,000 pages of book. It's like 40 sessions of D&D. Like it seems a whole lot more dramatic.
Yeah, there was something juicy happening every other day in this family. So yeah, Winona loved that. Also, I liked Luca's and Winona's friendship / partnership, and it was teaching her Draconic. That was like so. Oh my gosh, that was like one of my favorite things ever. And the chess competition where we like perfectly tied. That was one of my favorite moments too. So yeah. Also, just like. I like how the campaign was like very, like, battles were uncommon, but they were very big when they did happen. A lot of big boss fights. So yeah, that was like, it was very different, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Good. I have a few sort of moments of the campaign that I really enjoyed. Obviously, the accidental existence of Princess Grace. I really enjoyed our play-by-post part, where we took it to the text and sped through a bit. I've really enjoyed the concept of time in Soulforged, right? Because you've leveled up fairly quickly as players, right? For a D&D campaign, but it's been 6 years since the start of the campaign, right? And that's, you spent 2.5 years on the boat. And lots of things happened, and then there was a time skip, and then happened, and there was a time skip. It's only been 4 years since the Red Ship raids. It's been 6 years since the pre-campaign, is what I meant. But yeah, like, seeing time move forward has been really interesting. Obviously, for me, this has been a love story to my favourite books of all time. And I know that maybe not everybody enjoys reading a fantasy book, but I do hope that one day when we're finished the next bit and the next bit, that one day you guys will get a chance to read these books and go, oh my god, that's how that was, and that's what that was, and that's how that happened, and just see the thing. Because yeah, I mean, I love the books, but I've enjoyed sharing them more. I loved every moment on those boats. I just, it felt like a little family, really, you know, just like everybody sort of getting by together. But I also just liked the different interests that people had. Luca with what's to eat. Winona and the royal gossip. Kai and the water elemental that's a pet, right? Karina and the exploration of magic, and Galthek and training up the bodyguards, the soldiers, etc. Like such different areas. And with that, I'm going to sort of move into my next question, which is, what did you enjoy about playing your character? And I promised you I'd come to you first, Josh. What did you enjoy about playing Luca?
Yeah, so this is my first time playing a ranger, and I'm pretty sure every combat I never used favored foe, so that just shows you how much I paid
How much you learned,
attention
yeah.
to ranger. But like sometimes I find quite often with classes and subclasses and stuff like that, sometimes leveling you up doesn't always feel like impactful or rewarding, whereas being a Drake Warden, I imagine being a Beastmaster as well, Ranger, becomes very emotional because you have a bond with something else, and so you're improving with them. So like leveling up as a Drake Warden was like very exhilarating, and it was like the anticipation of it was I found a lot more fun than other classes I've played, where you just, you know, you get an extra hit, or, you know, your damage slightly increases.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I really liked the class and the subclass. My favorite thing about playing Luca, apart from his friendship with Vera, which, I mean, pretending to be a highly arrogant dragon who just wants to devour people and take over the world is fun in itself. But just like Luca's a very easy character to be because he's very chill and he just wants to have fame and glory for like the even though it's a selfish reason for him, he's doing it in a way that's not because he wants to save people. So it's like it's fun playing that kind of that archetype, but with a very relaxed attitude about it. Like he doesn't care how he gets there. He just wants to be like the hero of the story. So yeah, it was very fun to play.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Luca's. I don't want to say he was the fun factor because you were all fun, but I do think that Luca did bring a lot of the sort of the light-hearted factor, if you like. There were lots of moments where, you know, you guys were a lot more sort of, it was a deadly serious moment, and Luca really lightened it up and made it a bit of a joy, so I really enjoyed that. But I will say what I most enjoyed about Luca was Vero. Seeing the bond develop. The dragon was a part of the family for all of you. And the highlight of that for me was the teaching Winona Draconic to communicate with Vero, but Vero not really caring that Winona could communicate with him. And that was such a beautiful depiction, so I really enjoyed that. Jay, what did you enjoy about playing Kai?
So, Kai's my first bard that I ever played. I've played kind of support-based characters, but this was one where it was the first time that I went purely in on support, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. Especially with like just like all the little tricks I could do, giving everyone all these buffs. I mean, during like our final sessions, it was blesses and D10s on Bardics, and it's like, oh, you use your Bardic, we'll have another one.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely felt powerful, and obviously the keystone item really kicking that up a level. Yeah, the idea of you sharing it. And I've really, really enjoyed that aspect of Kai, the idea of this shared Bardic of, it's almost like team spirit, right? I've really enjoyed seeing Jamal and one other person using Battle Song as a bard, which is one of the spells that's homebrew to us, in that it's shared, you know, it's go team, right? And Kai has really been the absolute epitome of go team. So I've really enjoyed that. Even if you did snatch a pact with a dark evil dude who may or may not be evil, but definitely comes across as it.
It wasn't a choice.
It was the Prince of Darkness himself. No, I'm kidding. I really enjoyed being Lalak as well, so that's been a highlight for me. But I do think that the absolute highlight of Kai has been that Go Team method. Sort of, there's a vast well of power that they choose to use for the betterment of others, and I think that's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, the main focus for Kai when I play them is that I am not the lead. I'm the person who, like, if this is a stage and a performance, the others are the performance, I'm backstage.
Yeah, and you've sort of emulated that in the sort of, everybody expects the bard to just be the face of the party. And at the beginning, there was this sort of almost friction within the party where it was like, well, is the bard going to ask the question? It's like, no, I'm here to make you work, and you're there to, and I'm not saying that you didn't speak, but in the early bit, everyone expects the bard to be the front, the face, the there, and actually you've been the support and the the group therapist, and that has been really lovely to watch.
Yeah, the person with the words who will say something when needed.
Yeah, I agree. Michaela, what have you enjoyed about Winona?
Well, I love Winona. I love mysteries, detectives, I think I was really into Columbo when we started this, so that was like...
Hold the phone. Where's Winona's theme tune? Let's get that going. Sorry, do continue.
You gotta hold it.
Yes, that was like the original premise of Winona. Like, she is small and nondescript, and that makes her very dangerous at times. So yeah, I liked I liked how much I got to investigate with her. There was a lot of mysteries in this, and but also I was like, man, Winona has all this intelligence. I want to use it on something, so that's why I multi-classed her into Artificer. And I thought that was just like, it was, it fit into her story in a way that I like, which was like, she had an interest in magic and magic items, and so took it to a whole serious level of studying it so much, and that's why, that's why I also liked her, like, interaction with Karina and stuff, like when they would study together and things like that. But yeah, I just enjoy rogues. I enjoy seeing a lot of dice go across the screen when I do a sneak attack. And I love doing stunts, so that's why Winona, oh my god, and her magic items, the Cloak of Arachnid, that is a defining Winona item, because she just walked up walls ever since we got it.
There's something about, I'd like to stand on the ceiling, split myself in two, and do 88 damage. That's just fucking cool. You can't take that away from a little 2'6" rock gnome, right? Like, damn badass. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, that is what I liked her character, and I liked her mechanically as well. It was.
I absolutely loved Winona's exploration, investigation team. I loved your making Starling do the dirty work for you when you weren't able to. I fucking love the fact you adopted a camel. Mistress, is that right? Yeah.
Missy,
that's the one.
Camel.
Missy, the
Winona's
fucking
house
camel.
at this point is a
zoo.
very elaborate camel enclosure.
That's all.
There. So,
yeah. No, I love that. But I really enjoyed the sort of when Chivalry died, and you and Karina went to Patience's house, and Winona was so ready for like this deep, clever investigation, and like she was like on the board, like check this clue, check that clue. What was the smell of the blood? What was and it was so not that kind of mystery. But I know you really had fun with that, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, that was totally fun. And the girl who poisoned Katrikan.
Oh my goodness!
As you will never find out, I will tell you. She has a little maid, Rosemary, 6 years old. You actually spoke with her multiple times during that investigation, asking her about who was there and whatever. You were told multiple times she was the only person there, but no one considered the 6-year-old page. actually is the one who, she didn't know what she was doing, but she was, it was just a game to her. Drop these herbs in the pot when you're ready. When you come up, drop the, she actually becomes the assassin's apprentice in 20 years' time. She gets raised by Katrikan to be the next Riddle.
Wow. Well, how about that?
So,
I mean, what's a
there's
better
there's a little snippet.
endorsement?
Yeah. Jamal, what did you enjoy most about playing Galthak?
Well, it's an interesting one because I don't usually play like the B4 frontline characters.
Mm-hmm.
I've played a fighter before, but I've never played a barbarian.
Yep.
Honestly, it's disgusting just how much punishment this character was designed to take, and just shrug off and keep going. Like when you take the concept of the character in mind, it's like the Juggernaut. It's like, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yep.
It is literally the embodiment of that. He just keeps running and charging and running and smacking things and going and going. It takes so much to put him on the floor.
And it's not happened all that often, right? And even when it has, it's been, get back up and take another 75 damage. Yeah, it's been crazy.
Like, in terms of combat potential, that's, like, wild. Because one of the things that I said as a start, at the start, when we made the characters, Galthak's goal, really, at the end of it, was to become the strongest Goliath around. He's got his belt now. He's tough as nails. He's a motherfucker to put on the floor and keep on the floor.
With that Rod of Lordly Might, you have 37 strength when it comes to calculating whether you can break down a barricade. I mean, he might be the strongest guy. He might be the strongest Goliath around. Hell, I think you could have given the Scion of Thrym an arm wrestling match.
Yeah.
At this point, he's basically as good as ready to go back to the Ice Wastes, to the old tribes.
No, you can't go back.
And
sorry,
you can't go back.
You need to stick around. I need you.
No, I mean, just briefly, just say, hey, look, I'm now the strongest. Take on the strongest tribe members and assume the mantle of the strongest.
Yeah.
So that when
Galthak
it is
becomes
eventually
king.
time for him to go back to the tribes, he can be the big boss.
Briefly.
Briefly.
Before
when
being
it's eventually
required
time.
for business. My favourite thing about Galthak is the fact that he is topless in his picture and has worn a breastplate for the entire campaign. And that his veins pop in his head when he rages. No. I think Galthak has been a source of a lot of sort of slight comedy, right? But this is one of the most fearful things I've had to face as a DM, but also really cool. Is that I feel like in this campaign, more than anything, you've each got to fulfill your combat role to the full and still have combat to be threatening. Right, because I have literally punched my way through Galthak to you guys. Most combats, it's not been, how am I going to get around him? How am I going to screw you guys over? Winona's got to be sneaky and huge burst damage. Kai's got to be the huge support. Luca's got to ride a fucking dragon. I mean, God, ignore everything else. How cool is that? Karina has got to be the magical font, right? There have been moments where Luca's been the highest damage. There's been moments where Winona's been the highest burst damage. There's been moments, AoE mostly, when Karina's been the highest damage. Galthak has regularly been buffed to be the highest damage. But it's been really cool to see those roles fulfilled so fully. And Galthak has been pretty much the reason that's been possible in combat. Just getting hit. But I've also enjoyed another side to Galthak, which I think might have been completely unintentional on your part, Janelle. But you don't talk a huge amount in campaigns, right? You're not the person who's always the first to speak. You're not the person who is always, sort of the first to introduce yourself. And sometimes, through no fault of your own, you miss exactly what's going on. And it has turned Galthak into the biggest piece of comedic genius because there's dead silence and then a deadpan two-word answer that has no relevance to what's going on whatsoever. And it's just made Galthak such a beautiful character for me to where's Jamal? Oh yeah, he's over there just, flexing his muscles. And there was a moment when you guys went to, the inn when you first landed, when you first captured a red ship. It was the inn where there was water in the tavern on the floor, and the fish were going around and you could catch the fish. And all Galthak wanted to do was arm wrestle an orc with the dumbbells. Do you remember? Oh, I loved it. So it was such a journey. And, you know, I hope you don't take offense to that, Jamal, but I just think it has just been so unintentionally comedic genius.
Some of it was intentional.
Sure, I mean, I know you made the personality that made it work as comedic genius, but it just unintentional fun was fantastic. Alora, what did you enjoy about playing Karina?
So the first character that I ever played was a wizard, and I had absolutely no idea how to play D&D. So it was completely played wrong. So this is the first time that I've really gotten to actually experience wizard, and it was a time wizard, which is like the coolest thing to my nerdy brain. And to be able to really lean into the logic side of stuff was really good, because every character I've played since then, you know, it's not really that useful for most other classes. So it was really nice to be able to lean into the logic side and the, if I know what I'm going to do, I'm going to get it done. And her character was just really fun to just be. I mean, that freaking watch that expands her abilities so much in such insane ways. Yes, the timepiece. It was just really cool to be super powerful.
And that is, you know, that is one of the things I think I said to you at the beginning of Soulforged. Like, there is going to be a slight feel of like you're way more powerful than other people, right? You're not normal people. You are way above and beyond. And I think that Karina sort of epitomized that as just being able to do things that, especially when we saw like one of the strongest wizards in the land was Jenkins, right? And how we missed him in the MVPs, I don't know. But he was the second strongest wizard Arvenia had to offer.
Get a bad. Yeah.
And Karina has just like made him look silly, right? He was silly. And I think that's been such an epitome of like having this vast power. And that's where, I mean, Karina is why the Keystone items existed. Because I was reading about this Traveler's Timepiece on a Reddit post. Like, some person had the idea of rewinding and fast-forwarding time as an item. And I was like, oh, this has got to happen, right? And now, well, the only way it can happen is if everybody else has something that also keys into who they are. And it's something I tried with Urxos and it didn't really work. And I do think that Traveler's Timepiece and the Amulet of Amplification, those two were really the ones to me that stood out as like, whoa, this was a game changer. And it turned you into more than you were, so I'm glad you really enjoyed that. I think, before I get to that, two things I really enjoyed about Karina, like, as a DM. I really enjoyed the story of your that you gave me of like the backstory. I don't normally nowadays delve too deeply into backstory. I like the story to be told at the table, not, you know, in a notepad on someone's desktop. But the story of Angel, I know that you guys, some of you might not even remember it, but I am actually going to reshare it so that you guys get to flick through it a little bit. It's a long story, so don't worry too much about it. But in light of the stuff I'm going to tell you about, this might later be more detailed and interesting than you think. There were a lot of campaign hints in this little tiny story, and you're about to discover why. I also really liked Karina's father's connections and having that connection with the boats. You know, and I know this is, you know, for most of you, I just sort of went, we'll have a backstory. And, you know, we barely touched on the fact that Kai was raised under the sea, like the little fucking mermaid, and has, you know, all the tridents there. And, like, you know, at some point just went, I'm just going to pop back there with my staff, right? And we had a whole discussion about whether they sleep in a hammock or a net. And, you know, Winona obviously came from the Underdark, and we very briefly touched on that, but not really. And we referenced Galthak's history, but we didn't really engage with it all that much, except that one time we went up there and saw them all chanting like weirdos. And, you know, Lucas, the only thing we've done with Lucas' backstory is lob a boy there to be raised by his father. So it was quite interesting to have that dynamic and then go, oh, you've unintentionally touched on things that allow me to give some secrets. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of Karina. But more than anything, I've just loved that every single time you do anything slightly timey-wimey, I hear a Cher song in my head.
Yep.
That has just been total joy. And I really needed a way. So in book 3, at the end, when Fitz reaches Verity and Verity's carving his dragon, Verity hasn't got enough to give because he's killed with the skill, which is what gave him the ability to do this. And if he can just have one more night with his wife, he can create his dragon. And Fitz actually gives up his body. They swap bodies for the night. And because of the skill, Katrikan doesn't know. She just thinks it's Verity, right? Sort of burning with the skill in her mind. But actually, Fitz has given up his body, and for one night, he remains in this old man's body that's decrepit and useless, and there's almost nothing left of him. And that's when he discovers Girl on a Dragon as Verity with the silvered hands and gets to give some of it back. And obviously, I wasn't going to have any of you swap bodies with Verity to have a shag with Katrikan. That couldn't work.
Well, does this mean that she had sex with Fitz?
Yes.
Did she know that it wasn't
She
Fitz?
didn't know that it was Fitz. She didn't know that it was Fitz, but Fitz had to live forever. Not having had the memories, but knowing that his body was used for that. So in a way, Fitz is the father of Dutiful.
Sure, but Katrikan knew that
No,
it was
didn't
Verity.
know. I said that through...
Then
No.
why she sleep with him?
Because all she could see was the skill image of Verity. She thought it was Verity.
Oh, it wasn't like some cuckold thing.
Except she kind of does reveal at the very end that she knew how it was done. But yeah,
was.
she stays secret about that for ages. Katrikan is my favourite character in the books, apart from Fitz. I haven't done her justice at all, because she can't be done justice. But yeah, I was racking my brains to how I was going to make that happen. And this whole idea of you turning back time to before his hands were silver, before he was... I just thought it was, a funky idea, and I was like, yeah, well, she's going to go with it whether she likes it or not. On which note, I hope this last episode hasn't feel like I've played your characters for you, but the ending as D&D players kind of was last week, right? That was your boss. That was your apex fight. That was your huge moment. This was the epilogue, the story that came after, except it's not the story that comes after, because it's only the 3rd book of 16. So, I am going to take 10 minutes or so, maybe less, to very briefly, if I can, synopsis the 3 books that follow, because there's no way we could play them as D&D, because there are 30 or 40 impactful characters. I'm not going to tell you about the characters. I'm not going to tell you about what it matters to them. I'm going to tell you about the results of the actions within the book. One thing we have to follow, though, is Lord Golden, the Fool, the tawny man, the jester. Mentioned to you that at one time he might be called Lady Amber. And in this story that I'm about to recount to you, that is who he is. He is Lady Amber. So, the story begins with a family, the Vestrits, and their live ship. A live ship is a ship made of a strange wood that comes from the Rainwilds, lands far to the west. For reference on the map, the Rainwilds are this land here, the Barrens. And Bingtown and Jamilia are down here, the very bottom left of the map, below where you guys can see. The story begins in Bingtown with the family, the Vestrit family, and their live ship, who are made from this strange wood that comes down from the Rainwilds. It is known as wizard wood. All that is known about it is that it is a strange grey colour. It is tougher than any other wood. And it is the only wood that can survive the acid white river of the Rainwilds River. But after 3 family members die upon a live ship, the live ship quickens. It comes to life. The figurine itself will speak and have a life of its own. But when Ephraim Vestrit dies, and is the 3rd one to die, everyone thought Althea would be the captain, the daughter, and she isn't. Instead, this live ship is used as a slaver. And because she's used as a slaver, she is captured by the king of the Pirate Isles. Or that's what he wants to be, Captain Kennet. He is a boy who suffered on a live ship that was captured by a pirate. He was really quite tortured. He had an awful life. And as such, he is determined to become the king of the Pirate Isles and right all the wrongs and free all the slaves. And he captures the live ship Vivacia. But in doing so, severs the family bond with the live ship, and we begin to discover something about Wizardwood that we didn't know before. Wizardwood is the cocoon of a dragon. Dragons haven't been in this world for hundreds of years because the Rainwilders have been chopping up their cocoons and using them as boats. Wizardwood, I will remind you, is what Karina's mother wore at her navel, and the arrow that Josh fired in this session is made from the cocoon of a dragon. This music is really, really overly dramatic. There we go. Change of pace. So the first book follows a few of the characters, but basically the ship is taken over by Captain Kennet, King of the Pirate Isles. Bear with me 1 second, because I need to pull up the link to the next one so that I can just make sure I'm getting it right. Oh, really? You're not going to give me the separate book? You're just going to give me the whole thing? Okay, sorted. I'm going to go from memory. In book 2, we begin to see a little bit more about the progression of the pirates. We begin to see that Kennet has a heart and all these other things that don't matter. But what we find out is that he's from a noble family. He's from a town in Bingtown. A family in Bingtown. He was... it was on his family live ship that was taken over by Ygritte, the pirate, in the past. He was sort of maltreated on his family live ship. And thus he sort of repeats history, doing the same to the Vestrit boy that he keeps on board. But the boy, Wintro, begins to sort of change his views. The result of this is basically that the live ship Vivacia begins to realise that she was meant to be a dragon. Meanwhile, Vestrit family, something else happens. The satrap of all Jamalia, basically the Emperor of the South, is being an arsehole and not paying taxes and overly collecting taxes and just being a bit of a dick and not holding to the things that he promised. As such, one of the accidents that happens is he's attacked in Bingtown. And the fallout of that event is that him and Malta Vestrit, another one of this Vestrit family, are taken up to the Rainwilds. And when in the Rainwilds, the last log of Wizardwood begins to speak to Malta. Begins to say, I'm meant to be a dragon, set me free. And it needs to see sunlight. It's being kept underground. And a lot of what's happening in this town, in this city, I can't remember the city's name. I should be able to remember it, but I can't. But a lot of what's happening in this city is that people are delving in this old city. The Rainwilds is built on these huge trees. It's all like a big tree house city, if you like. But it's built on top of a city made of black stone with silver veining, where people who go down there can drown in the memories, can get lost and sort of become somebody who's already died. And deep in the bowels of this city that has been sort of covered over by the land from a major earthquake is this one Wizardwood log. Well, cut to the short, eventually Malta finds a way of releasing this log into the light. And indeed, rising from it is this huge blue sapphire dragon called Tintaglia. And she hunts far and wide, but she can find no others of her kind. She can only find the serpents who are still in the sea, waiting to be escorted up the river. She gets the aid of the live ships by telling them that they're meant to be dragons. They were made of Wizardwood logs, just like she became a dragon. They were meant to be dragons. She gets the aid of them and the traders, and they dredge the Rainwild River, allowing the serpents to make their way up it. But these serpents have been in the water for way too long. And when they make it up there, they're not at their full health. There's only one dragon to help them in the spinning of their cocoons. And the soil is no longer what it used to be, and they had to make their way through this acid, and she who remembers the serpent that was meant to lead them has been captured in the past by strange creatures and kept in a cage, and she's not everything she was meant to be either. And thus, only a small number of these serpents make their cocoons, and an even smaller number emerge. About 15 of them. But we'll meet them in about 6 to 8 weeks, because that's sort of where the books end. You find out that Wizardwood is actually the cocoon of a dragon. So, I don't know how moral that makes your arrow, Luca. You find that there's only one true dragon in the world, and that these stone dragons are not actual dragons, because you've just seen an actual dragon. Well, you haven't, but the world has. And we release this sort of dragon cycle back into the world. At the end of those books, it fast forwards about 15 to 20 years. And Prince Dutiful is actually 14 years old when we come back to book 7. And Katrikan is determined to see peace in her lifetime, and as such has betrothed him to a princess, or in fact a Narcheska, of the Raider Isles, of the God Runes. This used to happen a lot, but it hasn't happened in a long, long time, and especially with the Red Ship raids, it's a sore point. But the Narcheska's family seems to want to join in for some reason or other. The only thing is that before she marries him, she wants him to do something for her. She wants him to slay a dragon. To journey to Aslevial, which is over here, and to slay a dragon. At first, you're not sure why. No one is. But it seems that in some ways they think that the dragon, Icefire his name, failed to rise up in defense of the raiders when the stone dragons came to their shores. He failed them. Though you get the impression that perhaps that's not the whole story. Perhaps even her family is being coerced into doing this. And as you all travel, you all being Luca, Karina, Galthak, Kai, and Winona, as you all travel to the Raider Isles for the first time, to journey with the Prince Dutiful and escort him in his duty, because if there's any slaying of a dragon to be done, first of all, Vero's probably going to stop it, but secondly, it's going to be done by you guys. No one else is powerful enough, right? But as you realise that she's being coerced, and you realise that instead, this isn't the correct thing to do, you're determined to free the dragon instead. And you do. And the dragon Icefire rises into the sky to find Tintaglia, where they will have dragon babies of their own at some point down the line. And Vera feels really cool and swirls around in the air, and it's a really epic episode that we don't do. After which, you hear about the coercion and about the white woman, the pale woman, and Keeble Rawbread, the general that has coerced all these people. How did they do it, you say? Well, if they didn't cooperate, their family members were forged. Your daughter would be taken in the night and returned with no memories of who she was, attacking you like a wild monster. Of course you'd obey. Of course you'd follow Keeble Rawbread. At this point, Katrikan and the Princess Narcheska, Eliania of the Raider Isles, beg of the heroes a boon. Find this pale woman and her Keeble Rawbread, and put an end to them for the good of both nations. And that's what you'll be doing next week. So, there's 4 books in a synopsis, really quick. Key points. Only one dragon in the world, now there's 2. They've gone and had some babies. They helped some serpents get up the river, which was dredged in the Rainwilds, where now some not very good dragons are going to emerge from their serpent cocoons, desperately in need of dragon keepers to take them somewhere else. See you in 6 weeks. But before that happens, who the hell is this pale woman? And who the fuck is Keeble Rawbread? And how are people forged? And what is this black stone with silver veining? We'll adventure across the Raider Isles over the course of 4 to 6 weeks. Probably level up 3 times in that process, because we're going to finish at level 20, right? And then after that, we will play the Dragon Keepers, escorting the dragons to somewhere better and finding them a better life. And then we will return for 2 one-shots with Luca, Winona, Kai, Galthak, and Karina. I'm getting really good at just reeling off those names. Look at me go. We'll return for 2 one-shots with them, and then we will have completed all 16 books. If you do want a bit more of a story, I'll ping you guys out a synopsis of the 3 middle books, but I've purposely not told you much about the characters in case you do ever want to read them. Yeah. But with that being said, we will end there and resume as level 17s travelling across the Raider Isles next week. Does anyone get anything super exciting at level 17?
5th level spells.
Wait.
Really?
Does that mean you get 9th level spells?
Oh,
Does anyone
yet.
get anything exciting? No, you get them at level 18, right? Level
Yeah,
18, level
because
Oh,
I have
you
a
get them
one
level
level
18.
multi-class.
But Karina, you do get them this episode?
Heck yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah.
oh shit.
I believe Luca's heard about a strange spell where you can just hope for something and it comes true. I think it could save a girl and a dragon if he asks you really nicely. On that note, that's where we're going to end. If you guys would like to say goodbye,
Bye.
Goodbye.
we shall see you soon.